and welcome to a walkthrough of your learning environment. Today we'll be going over the SNHU 107 course in your new learning environment. The majority of your courses will be structured in this way, but we will go through some nuances of other courses. We'll go through the basic layout of the course, the key elements that you'll need to get started. I do want to remind you, though, that your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is very important to us. It is our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If for any reason you need this formatted in an alternative format, please be sure to reach out to our Online Accessibility Center. They can be reached at oac@snhu.edu or by phone at 1-866-305-9430. All right, so let's jump in. So to get to your learning environment on your homepage, typically you would see your advisor's photo right here in the middle. From here, you'll scroll over to the right side of the page and you'll be clicking on Brightspace, the second link down. Once you open Brightspace, it'll be taking you to this homepage. Now, when you're in here, you will note that there are two different taskbars. So this first one up here is called the mini bar, and this one is called the navigation bar. Don't worry about remembering those. Your advisors will definitely help you walk through each icon step by step. Now to begin, you will notice that you'll have certain alerts. If I hover over, it tells me this one is message alert. So if your instructor has emailed you, this is where you'll be notified that you have an email. But you will not be able to access it through here. You will need to go into your Outlook email through the home page. The next one over is subscription alerts. I'll go over what subscriptions are afterward, but just know that you'll see these alerts pop up. And then lastly, you'll have update alerts. So this will go over any messages or announcements that your instructor has posted. And as you can see, I have a bubble there. So when I click on it, it tells me exactly what's going on. So this one tells me that there'll be some maintenance to this system on that particular day and time. Now I can either click on it here to get more information, or I can go to the announcements page directly. And I'll go over how to get there after. You'll also know that you have your own profile that you can create. When you look into your profile, you can change your picture, you can add some information, a LinkedIn account, and you can put in some personal information. Now do be cognizant, as much as this is only housed within SNHU, it is still relatively public, so you want to be cognizant of what you're posting in here for information. All right, so from here I'm going to click My Home. It's going to take me right back to that home page within the learning environment. Now if I scroll down just a bit, I will see advising information. I'll see online career. Below that is our handbook, library, and bookstore links, as well as the IT help desk for IT information. Here you'll see some announcements. You'll actually see these in a few different places. And below this is your calendar. I'll go over the calendar a little more in detail in the next page, but just know, again, just like the announcements, you'll find that in a variety of places. So up here in this navigation piece, My Home, of course, takes you here. My SNHU takes you back to the home page. And then your Help button has a variety of assistance features. Now, to get into your course, you're going to click on this waffle. It's known as the course selection tool. Most of us will refer to it as the waffle, though, because it kind of looks like a waffle. So we're going to click on that. Now, I have a whole bunch of courses populating, but that's simply because I'm an advisor here at SNHU. The courses that populate here will only be indicative of the courses that you are taking. So you'll click on the one that you want to access, and then it'll open up for you. And this takes you to the home page of the course. So as you maneuver through here, if you ever want to get back to this home page, you'll click right on the title and it'll take you here. If you want to get back to the previous home page of the learning environment itself, you'll click on the Home button. All right, so here on the home page of the course, again, we still see we have access to all of those alerts, which is great. Now here's that other place you'll see announcements. Be aware that only your most recent 3 announcements will post in here. So for example, your instructor information, how to get in touch with them, their office hours, phone number, all of that, will eventually work its way out of this viewing area. So to be able to look for that information, you'll go under the course menu and announcements. And then in here, you can either scroll through and see them, or you can use the search bar to look for what you need. So if you type in anything that has to do with the term instructor, this will populate for you. So again, I'm going to click on that title to take me back to the home page of the course itself. So those are the announcements. On the side, we have some quick links. Again, the library, citation information. Then we have our late policy. We have the Online Accessibility Center information. And then we have information related to your course. Now these are called flip tiles because quite honestly, if I click on Overview, it flips over and it tells me an overview of the course, and I can flip it back. Below the flip tiles is your calendar. Again, this is just one more place that you'll be able to locate this, but as you can see, it tells me exactly when my due dates are for my courses. So it's a great way to keep yourself on task and knowing when you have due dates. I'm going to scroll back up to the top real quick because I do want to show you in Tools, you can access the calendar here. Now in course menu, we have a variety of things to go through. We'll go through grades and announcements, we'll touch on discussion boards, and we'll go through the learning modules. Now of course the learning modules also correlate with these flip tiles as I scroll down here. So when you first come into your course at the very beginning, you'll click on the Start Here flip tile. You'll click right on the title or Continue. Be aware though, when the first time you come in, you'll click on Start Here. From there forward, you'll want to click Continue because Continue will pick up where you left off. For example, this progress bar here tells me that I've done 2 out of the 11 things that are housed within this particular area. So if I click Continue, it's going to jump me back to where I left off. If I click Start Here, it's going to take me to the basic. So I'll click Start Here. Now this opens up what the inside of a module would look like for you. So again, that overview is there. My progress bar is still here. You will note a few things that are visual right out of the gate. So down the right-hand side, I have check marks and dots. Well, the check marks indicate that I have opened this and taken a look at it. The dot indicates that I have not accessed that piece yet. Down the left-hand side in Start Here, and you'll also see this in your modules, you'll notice the numbered bubbles. So this tells me that in these modules, I will have that particular number of things to complete. For example, Module 3, I'll have 8 things to get through. Module 1, I still have 3 things left to get through. The table of contents tallies everything that needs to still be completed. Now, if for any reason you're missing an assignment, these bubbles will turn to red and the number will highlight in white, and that is a clear red flag indication that you have missed an assignment for that previous module. So if the due date has gone by, it will highlight in red, and you'll definitely want to click on that to find out what you've missed. Alright, so within the Start Here area, you will have access to your syllabus, your guidelines and rubrics, and you'll be able to activate your learning material. So if you have an electronic learning material, you would have purchased that from MBS Direct, you would have received 2 emails. The first email would have been a confirmation that you purchased it, and the second email would have been an activation code. So when you get into your course, you'll click on whatever the publisher is, and you'll go through step by step. It'll show you how to activate that. The 2 things I want to touch on most in here are the syllabus and the rubrics. So for anyone who has never seen a syllabus before, this is what it'll look like. So it'll have a description of the course and the objective outcomes that you should have by the end of it. It'll tell you your required material. It'll give you your instructor information. Please be aware your instructor needs to be responding to you within 24 hours. If for any reason you have emailed them and not received a response within 24 hours, please email them again to verify that they got it and copy your advisor. That keeps us in the loop and allows us to jump in if necessary. You'll also see a grade distribution chart. This tells you how many assignments of each kind there are in the class, and then it tells you their value for points. Below that, it tells you your grade value. So let's say you, out of a full 1,000 points here, you've earned 600. So where does that fall? So I look down here, here's 600, I come across, that's a D. I know that if I want an A in the course, the minimum that I can get is 930 points. That would be a 93 and still fall into the A range. Below this breaks down each week and the assignments that are graded. I encourage all students to print out your syllabus or save it to your desktop. Use this like a checklist. Even though your learning environment is extremely intuitive with the highlighting red to let you know if you've missed something, the countdown of numbers in the bubbles to let you know what you have left, it always feels good when you can cross things out on a list that you know is due, and then you can see visually your progress. So that's reading a syllabus. So if we go back into the course, now we'll go into guidelines and rubrics. And the reason this is so important for us to go over is because this is how you'll be receiving your feedback. I'll use a discussion rubric, and I'll touch on what a discussion is. So the rubric will automatically at the top give you the guidelines for the assignment. Now, a discussion is meant to mimic in-classroom conversation. So let's say that you're in a tangible class and your instructor has asked a question and you go to raise your hand. Well, whatever you answer would be your initial post to that conversation. Let's say a peer raises their hand and says something, and you either agree or disagree, and you want to back that up with the information that you have. That would be a response post, and you do need 2 of those. So again, these guidelines at the beginning here break it down for you. Below that, though, the rubric chart tells you what you're being graded on. So within your initial post and within those 2 peer responses, you do need to cover these categories. And then it tells you for exemplary remarks, so an A, you're in this range, a B, you're in this range, so on and so forth. When you receive this chart as feedback, the sections will be highlighted, and then your instructor will provide individualized feedback as needed. I'll go over where to find that afterward. So that's the guidelines and rubrics. So now if I click back into Start here, it's taking me back to the home page of that particular module. So from here, let's actually jump into Module 1. Now I'll click on it here. Now don't forget, I could have clicked on Learning Modules here. I could have gone back to the home page and clicked on the flip tile. So many places to be able to get into your information. Now again, the progress bar shows me what I've completed. I can see the number here that tells me I have 3 things left. And again, I have the check marks that tell me what I've gone into versus the dots which tell me what I have not yet accessed. So when I come in here, I'll just want to work my way through. So to be honest, I'll start up here at the top, I'll click right on it, and instead of going back and then clicking into the next thing, going back and clicking into the next thing, if I have time, I'll just use the next button, and that'll take me to the very next thing. See? Nice and easy. Links are always embedded in here with a lot of resources, so just be sure that you're really going through everything. If for any reason you know that you won't be accessing a computer but you want to do some reading on your own, maybe on a lunch break at work, you can always print stuff out. You can download it so you can read it offline as well. Alright, so from here I'm actually going to go back to the home page of Module 1. Now, as I said, you'll still see the dots here, very intuitive. You can go to a course schedule, which is also included in the syllabus itself. You have the progress bar that tells you what's happening. You have the check marks to let you know you've completed assignments, so on and so forth. So each time you go in to do an assignment, you'll see, I'll show you for example, down here at the bottom, you'll see a big blue bubble. And it'll say Start Quiz or Start Assignment. If it's a discussion board, I can show you that. Again, I can access these here, or I can access them within the module. So as I access the discussion board, I want the module discussions. This will give me an overview of what I should be writing about for that module. This tells me what I should be writing for peer responses. When I'm ready to start this, I will click right on that title itself. From here, again, I can see exactly what I should be doing. So as I keep saying, this learning environment is extremely, extremely intuitive, very easy to follow through. You always have access to everything you need, which is wonderful. Now, at the very bottom of this, I will see that other people have been posting. When I'm ready to do my first post, I'm going to click Start a New Thread. I do need to enter a title here, and I need to enter my information here. Now, the nice pieces within this learning environment, say you needed to walk away from the computer for any reason, this would have an autosave feature. So if you have a power surge, if you're trying to do work in the middle of a storm and all of a sudden your computer blacks out on you, you may lose a couple sentences depending on when the last autosave kicked in. But generally speaking, the autosave feature will be a huge, huge help to you. Remember at the very top, when we first started, I talked about subscription alerts. Well, here is where those are important within your discussion board. So as I scroll back down, I would see that when I enter my body of information, I have this box to check that says subscribe to this thread. Anytime you are entering something in the discussion board, you should subscribe to your thread before you post it. Because if someone responds to you and asks a question, you of course want to earn the most points possible. So you'll want to know when someone's asking that question, and that's what that alert is at the top of the screen. It tells you when someone has responded to something you have posted, whether that be your initial post or a reply to a peer. But you always want to subscribe to your thread. So once you post this, it will then show up down in the list below. Now let's say that you're ready to do a response post. So I'm going to click right on Stephen's title here. And when I open this up, I'll be able to read what Stephen said. So he said, I like this discussion. So when I'm ready to reply to him, I'll click Reply to Thread. And I will type in here myself, I like it too. Again, I want to make sure that I'm subscribing, and then I'll post. I'll see down here at the bottom, reply successfully. So this tells me that I know that that went through, which means my instructor will see it. You will also see that successfully submitted pop up when you've completed an assignment that's being graded. So you'll always have that as a confirmation. All right, so now we've gone through most of everything except how to get to your feedback and your grades. So again, we're going to go to course menu. Grades will be a great way to see anything that's coming back in the rubric chart form. So when I go into grades, I'll see my overall grade, my overall points earned. I'll see the breakdown of all of the assigned graded assignments within the course and what their point value is. Now, if this is a 49 out of 50, I know it's probably good, but I don't know what that means as far as a letter grade goes. So actually in this column, it'll show you the letter grade. Then in the next sign over, you'll see the assignment details. Now there will be a hyperlink here that you can click on. That will open up that rubric chart, and that's where you'll be able to get your feedback. The other place for heavier writing assignments, you'll go to course menu and into assignments. This is where those bigger writing assignments, final projects, journals, short stories, anything like that will be housed. Again, you'll have the score, you'll have a grade, and then you'll see your submission and feedback. So in here, you'll have a hyperlink that you'll want to click on. That will take you to your submission itself. So when an instructor gives individualized feedback on a written assignment, they'll be putting it directly onto that written assignment. So you want to be sure that you're going in and reading through all of that so you can improve for your final. Now, it is crucial overall to be sure that you are reading through all of your feedback from your instructors. If an instructor is giving you an opportunity to redo an assignment, they will only be giving that information to you through your feedback. They will not be emailing you separately. So be sure to really read through all of that feedback. All right, so at this point we've gone through almost everything. The one thing to take note of is that in your calendar, so if I go to Tools and I go to Calendar, again, there's several places to find this, but between your calendar and your syllabus, you want to pay close attention to your due dates. The basic structure and layout of all of our courses through SNHU will be very similar in this learning environment, but the nuances and the differences will be in the due dates. While 95% of our courses have a due date of Thursdays at 11:59 p.m. for discussion board posts, initial posts, and Sundays for the 2 peer responses at, again, 11:59 p.m., as well as Sundays for anything else in that module, there are a small handful of courses that do have a steadfast hard Sunday deadline, and there are even some math courses that have Wednesday deadlines for some assignments. Your calendar and your syllabus will be able to denote all of that information to you. Again, this is why I really recommend keeping your syllabus as a checklist. So again, I'll just go over those due dates, the general ones that require 95% of our courses. So on Thursdays at 11:59 p.m. is when your initial discussion board post is due. The 2 peer responses and anything else for that module would be Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Be aware that week 1 of every single term is due in Eastern Time. Weeks 2 through 8 will be in your own time zone, but week 1 is due in Eastern Time so that the system really recognizes and solidifies you being enrolled in that course. So it is crucial that you adhere to that Eastern Time in week 1 of each term. The other thing to note is that the late policy allows a student to submit an assignment, with the exception of discussion boards, those are not retroactive, but any other assignment can be submitted up to 7 days past the original due date with a 10% penalty. After those 7 days, it's an automatic 0 on the assignment unless otherwise discussed with your instructor. So communication with your instructor and your advisor is key to your success here with SNHU and your academics. So always be sure to keep that communication open. I do appreciate you taking the time to go through this walkthrough. I'm very excited to have you on board, and I know all of the advisors here are very excited that you're with us. Please never hesitate to reach out with any questions or any concerns. Good luck!